Good morning. I'll call council to order. Is there any additions to the agenda? Amber?
If I could add an agenda item, Mr. Russell Smith would like to attend council at 10 a.m. if possible.
Okay, for an appointment. Okay, any other additions? Alan?
Mr. Chairman, under 3.1B is our gravel request, and there was a request for decision handed out in regards to that.
Okay, that's that handout. Anything else? Motion to accept amended agenda. Scott, all in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes, May 1st, 2018, regular council meeting minutes. Con? Is there any questions or concerns? All in favor? Carried. And I think 9 o'clock we have public hearing, so I move that the process for Wheatland County Council meeting as it pertains to scheduled public hearings will be as follows. Public hearing, first reading if required, consideration for further readings of bylaws for those public hearings that have been closed. Further move that the above process will take place with the absence of resolutions to go into and out of council before and after each public hearing. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And with that, we'll start with public hearing. For bylaw 2017-56. It's still not on. We got to get that red light. There you go.
Good morning. This public hearing is for bylaw 2017-56. It is a redesignation to redesignate 3.55 acres from agricultural general district to country residential district.
Has the proper notifications been done?
Yes, we had it in the newspaper last 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we also did letter notifications to the adjacent landowners.
Okay. Is there any member of the, has any concerns with any council member listening to this public hearing? Not seeing any. Please continue.
So we recommend council undertake the public hearing for bylaw 2017-56, and the purpose of this application is to separate and redesignate this 3.55 acres parcel, and if this is approved, they'll move with the subdivision, and we recommend council undertake the public hearing. That's my report.
That's all you got? Okay. Is there any questions? Public have any questions or concerns? No comments? Okay, I'll close the public hearing for bylaw 2017-56. And we're now back in council.
I move that bylaw 2017-56 be given second reading.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Scott?
I'll make a motion that bylaw 27-56 be given third and final reading.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And I'll open the public hearing for bylaw 2017-61. Proper notification's been done.
Yes, it's same as the first one. We had it advertised in the newspaper last 2 weeks, and we had letters to the adjacent landowners for
Okay.
this public hearing.
Thank you.
It is a redesignation for 2.4 acre parcel.
Okay,
It
is there any
is-
member of the public have any concerns of any council listening to this public hearing? Okay, please continue.
So we recommend council undertake the public hearing for bylaw 2017-61. And it is same as the first one. It is a redesignation, and if it's approved, the applicant wants to proceed with the subdivision of this lot. And there's existing dwelling farm building on the parcel, same as the previous parcel.
Okay.
And we also recommend second and third reading for this property. And that's all my report.
That's all? Okay. Any questions? Ben?
Through the chair, it shows on the map that I'm looking at that there's access through that property to another piece of, I don't know whether it's a dugout or something, but that access, is there an access from the other rest of the quarter to access that property, or is it through there?
The access was looked at by the Public Works, so there's no issues with that. It meets our requirements.
So I guess my question would be, is there an approach from here into this quarter other than this one?
I don't have the answer. I just,
The applicant is in that.
Andrew Kumart with Ace Surveys. When we are designing this parcel, the intent is to widen the existing approach and have it a split approach so that both the remnant and the subdivided parcel share one wider approach at that same location. Currently, it will have to be widened to accommodate that.
So the approach that you're talking about widening, is it on, which title will it be on? Or will it be on both?
It'll be on both, it'll be split.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Public have any comments? No questions? I'll close the public hearing for bylaw 2017-61, and we are now back in council. Tom?
I move that bylaw 2017-61 be given second reading.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Scott?
I'll make a motion that bylaw 2017-61 be given third and final reading.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. We'll go to first readings. Request for decision bylaw 2018-13 road closure. Questions?
Want any history on it? If you'd not, I'll move first reading.
Ben's moved first reading. No questions? All in favor? Carried. Request for decision. First reading for bylaw 2018-11.
I'll move first reading of bylaw 2018-11.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried.
I'll move council give second reading on bylaw 2018-11.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. We want to do third reading, we have to ask for permission.
I'll move for permission for third reading.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And
I'll move third and final reading.
Amber's moved third and final reading. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Other planning and development request for decision, subdivision time extension request. 2.3A. Any questions? I can't hear you, Ben. You have to turn your little red light on.
When I was going through this weekend, my question that kept going through my head was, why are they giving them an extension? They've been a year. It doesn't look to me like they've done anything. Everything I looked at was incomplete, except for about 3 things. Why are we giving them an extension?
Applicant came to apply for this subdivision extension and explained her situation. It's just for personal and financial reasons. She has the intention to complete the application and meet the conditions in the extended time period.
I'm just wondering, can we not, I want to show that we're compassionate, but there's 4 conditions that need to be met here. None of them seem to be totally onerous. So I'm just wondering, we have it's on our purview to drop this down to 6 months, right? Like if we want to give an extension. So that's what I would think council should be looking at, in my opinion, because there is only four items here, and I think if we give them a year, they're just going to sort of let it lag.
How, before we get to this, plan a survey, how long does that take? Anyone know roughly? To get it all done, and I don't
I
think
believe
that's
it's depends on the workload of the company that he works with. It's not a. I believe it should be done in a month, especially this time of the year.
You should be able to get it done in 6 months, easy. Okay. Is that a motion? Kind of sleepy today.
I'll move that council approve a subdivision time extension for a period of 6 months on subdivision application SD 2017-15. That was 6 months.
6 months? To get that, Margaret, 6 months?
And I'd like to ask for a recorded vote.
And a recorded vote. Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Councillor Armstrong, sorry? Okay. Councillor Armstrong, Link, and Wilson voted in opposition, and the rest of the councillors voted in favor. Request for decision time, subdivision time extension request for subdivision 2016-20.
I can briefly explain
Okay, please.
the status of the application. This is one of our complex applications that it's a bare land condominium subdivision, and we've been working with the applicant for quite a long time, and in the last 3-4 months, they are showing really their desire to meet all the conditions. Right now, I don't want to take up too much of your time. There are 17 conditions they need to meet, and right now, most of the technical studies and technical drawings have been sent in the last few days, and we are going to pass them on to our engineering consultant, SEMA. They'll be reviewing them, and once they are satisfied with these studies and technical drawings, we will be proceeding with the development agreement, which is drafted by our lawyer, and it's going to be signed off after the technical studies are signed off, like approved. Other than that, plan of subdivision, which is condition number 1, it's done normally. Typically, it's done at the end, once everything is done and approved. Taxes, they pay their taxes. Municipal reserve, the money that we would be charging would also typically be charged at the end of the process. So basically, they've been working on meeting the conditions, and we recommend this extension.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Council's wishes. How long do you think it would take if they keep working hard to get all the conditions met?
I think it's safer to make it 1 year, just to make sure, because sometimes if there are issues with the technical studies, if they have to go back and redo the studies or revise the studies, it may take a while.
Okay.
Just to be safe to be on the safe side, I would suggest a year.
Okay. Okay, council's wishes. Member? Oh, Angie?
Through the chair, if council wishes, we can do a 6-month extension, and if they don't complete within the 6 months, we can ask them to come back in for another 3 to 6 months, if council would prefer to take that route.
Scott?
I'll put a motion that council approve the subdivision time request for 2016-20 for a period of 6 months. My reasoning is the construction process through the summer, and from what I've seen, a lot of things stall out throughout the winter. So I'd like to keep it going.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Is carried. Thank you. Request for decision, subdivision time extension, 2016-18.
Mr. Chairman, I was wondering if we could defer this for about 20 minutes. We're waiting for a couple people to show up.
Okay.
We instructed them 10 o'clock, but you guys are moving way faster than I ever thought you would, so
Well,
if you don't mind.
It's spring seeding time.
Oh, okay. Bring it on.
I missed that, sorry.
Okay. Unfinished business, Division 3 Councilor request for letter. For railway crossing at 817. Yeah, go ahead.
So on 817 at the railway tracks in my area, I've had a few complaints. It's quite rough. It's like it's actually is the pavement is higher than the track. The people, they know it's a provincial road, but they've tried CP contacting, they've tried the provincial government, Alberta Transportation. They're just getting back and forth. No one's actually answering their questions. So I thought if we could get a letter together, giving both of them our concerns, and maybe they can, we'd have better luck. There was the bump is quite large, and one of the trailers unhooked, and so it could be a safety issue or become one.
It's kind of rough there, for sure.
It is.
Yeah. You want to make that a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion that we draft a letter to Alberta Transportation and CC CPR and Derek Fildebrand, and signed by the County Wheatland about the crossing.
And the safety concern?
And the safety concern, yes.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Bizarre gravel.
Through the chair, I was contacted by one of the local residents that's looking after this for the 3 different organizations in town. And I was wondering if they could get some gravel, so I had him talk to Alan and put it on the agenda, and it's for 230 tons of delivered to the arena, the community hall, and the sports grounds and to further track the record and donations in the donations to other accounts. So I'll make that a motion if there's no questions.
Scott?
I just have one concern. I know that I've heard that the gravel crew is behind already because of the washouts this spring, and they had some troubles. So I just want to make sure that we're not further burdening our crews with other things like this.
It's usually when these requests come in, it's at our convenience.
Okay.
If we can't get to it, we can't get to it. It's not,
Fair enough.
we don't change our schedule for them.
Any other questions? Ben has moved. All in favor? Carried. New business, request for decision, communication strategy online. 3.2A. Council's wishes. Any questions?
I've read through this, and I would like to approve the recommendation of staff. There's some updating of the website and things I understand that need to be done, and I would agree. And yeah. Good.
So accepted as information? I think staff are doing.
Approve the recommendation too.
Well, through the chair, just a question for clarification. When we're talking about employees, we're talking about council as well? Okay.
That's the only thing I was going to say is I would just like us still to look at a way to improve council communication, like both ways. And I like the town hall meetings that were included, but I still want to find like a better strategy for us when we're trying to gather information on a certain situation. Like we're going to have some things coming up like cannabis and things like that where some more public consultation I think would be good. And there's other instances too where it would just be good to have more of an idea of what the majority feel in our communities.
keeps turning it off? Oh. Well, then turn it on. Where are we? Fire garden appointment, 3.2B. Scott?
I'll make the motion that council approve the addition of one fire guardian, Lisa Buraniak, sorry if I screwed that up, for Wheatland County, effective May 15th, 2018 to February 28th, 2019.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried.
Hiring two Lisa B's.
Okay. Request for decision, economic development strategy.
So can somebody fill me in on what is shaping this into? There's got to be a plan here, and I just can't find it.
Yes. So, Mr. Chairman, that's part of the strategic priorities that council set in December. So we have a current economic development strategy that ran from 2016 to 2019. So the idea is to review and update that and also come up with an action plan moving forward for 19 to probably 2023, 24 for the economic development strategy. So this is just a request for proposals that came in. It's well within the budget. There's no need for any additional budgets. It would mean review, update. The kickoff would be with council and the Economic Development Board potentially in June, and so that everybody's on the same page, and then they would move through and be completed by the end of October. So.
Okay, and we are in the process of hiring an economic development. Can you fill me in on where that is at, officer?
Okay. So as far as economic development officer, that would be a component in the action plan that's provided by these folks. So that would take place probably later on this year, first part of January. This has to happen first in my mind, so that you give the action plan to the economic development officer or individual, whatever it is. Here's your marching orders, and I think Reeve Kester said it well. We want a clear action plan so that we know that we're getting results at the end of the day. That makes sense.
So everyone knows what their jobs are. Okay.
I'll move the recommendation as presented.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Carried.
Mr. Chairman, we're ready for item 2.3C if council would consider.
Okay. Request for decision, subdivision time extension request, SD 2016-18. Any questions? Whenever you're ready, call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so I'm just going to go over a review of the conditions and their status imposed by the Municipal Government Board on May 18th, 2017 for the Homesteads Alta development. So it's a quick review of the conditions imposed. We are recommending that council consider approval of an extension for the Homesteads Alta approval. We are wanting to make clear, though, there's still significant outstanding requirements for the development and that we haven't signed off on any conditions to date. That said, many of the conditions will be signed off right at that end stage of endorsement. So it's not that the full 0 are outstanding. There are a number of significant ones outstanding, but many of those are just as a fact signed off at the very end when that endorsement's done in terms of the plan of survey, municipal reserve, making sure taxes are paid, those kind of things. Our approval recommendation is based on the fact that the county has a history of typically granting the first subdivision extension request for subdivisions. Historically, when conditions haven't been met in the past, council has considered refusal with the second subdivision extension request. So I'll just go over the outstanding conditions. Number 4, the development agreement. So we're still waiting on technical and detailed design information for the stormwater, wet water, wastewater, and the landscaping plan. We need that prior to the development agreement being executed. So that information is required to determine the appropriate letters of credit and also to be incorporated into that development agreement as a schedule to ensure that the design and engineering is being followed correctly. We have staff did receive, and there was sign off on some estimates for transportation as well as other components of the site, landscaping, earthworks, etc. However, without that detailed design sign off, without that detailed design review of all these features, we can't have full sign off. So I'm just going to ask SEMA to come up and speak a bit more to the development agreement and how that process will go. So they'll just be coming up here to speak to that, and then I'll continue with my presentation.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
Arlen Babcock from SEMA Plus. We provide engineering services to the county for review of planning documents and these types of applications. For this application, there are a number of conditions that were imposed by the Municipal Government Board, and one of those is the completion of a development agreement. We received information on the cost of construction, which is a major component of the development agreement in order to apply securities for the development to protect the county in the event that the developer is unable to complete the project. Part of that evaluation of those cost analysis is being able to review technical design drawings so that we can verify that the information represented in the construction cost estimates is what is actually being proposed for the development. To the best of my understanding, there has been, pardon me, there has been some detailed information in terms of cost estimates, but no technical design drawing submission has been received. Most of the municipalities within which we work require at the very least, a preliminary design drawing set for that evaluation process. And so it's very important to have that package to be able to properly evaluate that information. If you can bear with me for a second. There are a couple of components that I believe are yet outstanding in terms of their determination for water and sewer servicing and the costs associated with those pieces of infrastructure were not communicated to us for evaluation, which is another major component of this evaluation. So the combination of those in conjunction with the remainder of the conditions supplied by the MGB for the development agreement, there's an extensive list within that document. I think it goes up to number N, if I remember correctly. Once all of that information has been received in a complete package, then we can properly evaluate it and ensure that the county is well protected when it comes to preparing that development agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, so conditions 7 and 8, in terms of, there was the developer submission that was submitted to the county on May 9th. Just wanted to provide some clarification to those. The developer submission noted that the county should provide these agreements. I just wanted to note that we did email these agreements to the developer on January 30th, 2018, and we re-forwarded the original January 30th email with the attachments again on May 9th once we got the developer submission. Condition 9 on the franchise agreement. We don't have information on a franchise agreement for the provision of services submitted to date. We are of the understanding that a finalized wastewater solution has not been determined for the development based on the last meeting with the applicant. We also have some clarification questions on the water allocation that have gone unanswered. So the developer notes the Wheatland counties to provide execution or. So the conditions drafted in a way that the developer is to provide confirmation that a franchise agreement with respect to the provision of sanitary sewer, potable water, and stormwater utility services to the developments in place with a service provider approved by Wheatland County. So once we have that information as to the servicing, we could bring that forward to the council to approve the service provider or to consider internally. So we'd then review that, but nothing's been submitted on that yet. In terms of water servicing, we don't have any further information in regards to condition 10, which requires that the developer provide the county written confirmation from the approved service provider. It should show that AEP has licensed the system and it has sufficient capacity, and there's a servicing agreement in place. The developer submission notes a letter from Murfield and that they're waiting to finalize utility company operations and ownership. We haven't received a formal letter from Murfield in regards to that, and there was no attachment in that the latest package received. We did request further information from the developer to ensure that the water capacity for Murfield's not impacted by the Homesteads development. Some preliminary engineering review we had done had shown that the existing water infrastructure in Murfield wouldn't be sufficient for the Homesteads development, so we require further clarification and information. One thing we want to make sure is Murfield has its approvals for its existing lots plus a full build out of 700 as per the ASP. We don't want to see Murfield's water capacity taken away for a development down the road. So we don't have any information on that, so we require further clarification. That kind of ties to condition 11. It's noting that the owners to obtain approval and agreement from Wheatland County to allocate 140 acre-feet of water per year to the development. So we have worked on drafting this agreement and we've gone back and forth with legal counsel. However, we need further information from the developer, which we've requested a few times now, as per that, what I mentioned previously with making sure capacity is not taken from Murfield. The developer's submission in your package notes they're waiting on a response from the county to a September 20th email, but we're actually waiting on them to respond to our September 20th email in regards to details on the concerns noted on condition 10. So this is the email that I had sent on September 20th, just noting the information that's still outstanding. I re-forwarded it in March or April, and then we re-forwarded it again in May, just requiring that clarification. As I said, we want to make sure Murfield's not impacted from a water servicing perspective. Condition 12, wastewater servicing. No information has been provided to the county to date in regards to a proposed wastewater solution for the development. Discussions in late April, we had an April 20th meeting. They noted they were still considering different options for the system. The May 9th developer submission notes and Alberta environment approvals in place and attached. There was no attachment that I saw with that AEP approval, but once provided, we would check off this condition and move forward and look at the cost estimates. Stormwater, we haven't received any finalized information into the stormwater management conditions. This detailed design information is required to finalize the development agreement so the county can determine appropriate finalized security amounts, and we'd want to incorporate into the DA as a schedule. We'd also want to see synergies between the storm plan and the landscape plan. It's pretty typical with new developments of this nature that you'd incorporate it as some kind of amenity feature with pathways and benches around it. So we'd want to see that connected. Solid waste management plan, I haven't had that provided to the county yet. Biophysical impact assessment, this has been reviewed and is largely signed off by the county. They just have a few minor updates to do, but nothing significant was found to require alterations to the subdivision plan. So this condition is almost complete. They just have to take a few pictures in the growing season to update to the current BIA. So this condition is largely done. Architectural control guidelines, this has not been submitted to the county at the endorsement stage. Their package notes they were submitted in May 2015. The county's requested all the supporting studies and information submitted again as a digital package to the county. It's been a number of years. We want to make sure we have the most up-to-date information. So if they have this, we wish that it be resubmitted to the county as part of the package. Landscaping plan, no information has been submitted to the county to date in regards to a landscaping plan. This will be required and need to be reviewed and signed off prior to completion of the DA so that the appropriate securities are obtained, and it also would be included in the schedule of the development agreement as per our lawyer's recommendation. Condition 26, construction management plan. No information has been submitted to the county in regards to this yet. Condition 27, the homeowners association. No information on this has been yet submitted to the county. The developer notes that a utility company could take care of this, but this would not address the condition as it requires a full homeowners association registered on title. This is pretty typical for these type of developments. So for maintaining the green spaces, if the county doesn't have the resources or the program to go ahead with maintaining green spaces in these type of kind of more urban developments, the people start to have a higher expectation of mowing, maintenance, landscaping. It's pretty standard. Murfield, Heritage Point, and the Foothills, they have these type of HOAs in place. So they're noting kind of that they maybe don't want to go that HOA route, but the condition is saying there has to be a homeowners association in place. The county has no choice. That is the municipal government board's decision, so that needs to go ahead. So we need all the information on a homeowners association to still be submitted. The road names, I mean, this is a pretty simple one. We just need information on the road names. They noted they have been submitted. If so, we ask that they be resubmitted to the county as part of that overall complete package. And so just a bit of a summary. Major and key aspects of the infrastructure that comprise the development still require significant work. We have met with the developer regularly through the past year and maintained a cordial relationship. However, we continue to wait on most of the information that we request at each meeting. The completed BIA is important, and it notes no major environmental changes are required to the subdivision plan, so that is a good step forward. The extension would allow the county to keep tabs on the development. If you went with a 6-month, you could bring it back to council before the close of 2018 for a decision on whether to grant another extension, or if you went ahead with the year, it would come back next year at this time. We can continue to do our updates to council if you decide additional extensions are warranted. So concerns over servicing and providing detailed information and the organization of the development are key to ensure it'll be self-sustaining for the long term. And we want to make sure we do get that required detailed design and estimate information for the development agreement to ensure that the county's covered. As we said previously, although we have a lot of that, the information was submitted, without the detailed design work to support it, you can't really sign off fully on the DA or incorporate that information. Otherwise, there would be no standard to base movement on releasing securities back on the development agreement in the future. So in terms of actual information submitted, the only actual major information that has been provided to staff in the past year was the construction cost estimates and the biophysical impact assessment agreement, but that detailed technical information is still outstanding. So that concludes my presentation. I'll just go to the RFD now. I'll just leave it on this, but staff is recommending that.
Thank you. Any questions? Scott?
I have a few. So just for my knowledge, everything that is addressed by the MPs or those conditions have to be met before they can do any dirt work regardless, correct?
Through the chair, that's not correct. So before they can do some dirt work, there has to be sign off at condition 5, and then they can move ahead with making sure all that infrastructure is in place before the final endorsement of the plan. SEMA could explain it further if you'd like.
And I'll ask this, in your opinion, how long would it take if someone really put their head down and to get all these conditions addressed? From your experience, I would say.
Through the chair, that's a difficult question. I worked for a developer previously, a pretty large scale developer, and if you put the money and the effort into meeting these conditions, they could be done, but it's a matter of focusing and providing the information submitted. I'm not sure the rationale or reasoning behind withholding, not providing the information moving ahead. I'm assuming it's to do with financing and other details.
Any other questions? You made a couple references there that they said they provided the drawings in 2015 or whatever, and you're asking for it again. Do we keep copies of this stuff, or what you expect when you get a file?
Through the chair, they note that some have been submitted previously. I was not the file manager at the time. We do keep saved records of everything on our digital files. I haven't found them in there. I just took over this file last year. If they have the copies of the ARC guidelines, just emailing them over again is pretty quick. I mean, they have to be registered on the title as each of them. So, and also you might want to, if the development's moving ahead in terms of market conditions, maybe they've considered updating the architectural controls. So we just want to make sure we have the latest copy provided at the endorsement stage.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other questions? Council's wishes.
I'll move that council deny subdivision time extension request for SD 2016-18.
Any questions? Yeah. Motion to deny. Ben?
Recorded vote, please.
Ben wants a recorded vote. Tom, did you want to say anything?
As we have not, this is before our purview, before our time. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this was not, this went over sort of, for a lack of a better term, this went over our heads. They went from, they bypassed us to, went straight to Edmonton, right?
Right.
What I would be worried about with denying this is that they may have a tendency, we may be causing ourselves some law fees here that we could I think we could mitigate by giving them, I could see giving them 6 months. And then if they don't get their boat in order and start getting some of these things checked off, then we know where they're sort of at. I am really against not flat out denying them. I think they deserve the time to try to get this boat righted.
Ed?
Through the chair, I think they've had sufficient time, and I think any developer that, the most important part about a development is water and sewer, and they haven't addressed that. There's 29 conditions on there. They've had more time than enough, I think, to make that happen. If we give them 6 months or we give them a year, I think we're going to be back here again at the end of whichever timeline you give them, looking at another extension. So I don't feel they need an extension. They have had plenty of time as far as I'm concerned.
Ben Scott?
I want to at least do a 6 month. There is lots of constructions out in the area. Give them kind of the one last chance. And our kind of moving forward is to be more positive for our community. And there's been a lot of work done to this so far, and I don't want to see it die right now.
Any other questions? Comments?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
There is a possibility, if you would like to offer them a 6-month time extension, but request that they come in August 14th to the council meeting and provide an update to council as to where they're at with planning administration at that point in time. That would be halfway through the 6-month extension. That you have the right to do that as well.
Any thoughts, questions? There hasn't been an extension given to this file yet either. It's extensive. Okay, the motion is to deny it. All in favor? Opposed? It's defeated. Councilors Armstrong and Wilson voted in favor. The other councilors voted against. So we're still back at the square one.
I would like to make a motion that council approve subdivision time extension request for 6 months, application 2016-18, and further that August 14th council meeting, we have an update.
By the developer.
By the developer, on progress by the developers. Mike.
Okay.
Through the chair, is there an option to, rather than approve a 6-month extension, just recess this until August? So they don't have the 6-month extension, because it doesn't matter what happens on August, they still get the 6-month extension if they haven't done anything by then. At least then in August, you'll know what, if they've done anything, or if they've improved on anything that's in front of us right now. So if you recess this till they bring forth something in August, then make the decision. No?
How about,
Mr. Chairman, you can't do that
do
because
that.
their conditions, their time is going to run out to meet their conditions, and then they would be offside of that. So that is not the way to go.
we could do a time extension till August, though, till they have a report on August 14th, did I hear? Make the time extension till then and not the 6 months. Would you?
Given the scale of this project, I would like to see 6 months, just because it is such a large project. They have shown some progress, like with the BIA and the transportation plans, so I am in favor of the 6 months.
I request another recorded vote.
Okay. Ben had asked, would you consider it till August or the 6 months? You're going to leave it on?
I'd like to keep it at 6 months.
Okay, any questions? Recorded vote? Tough one. All in favor? Opposed? Councillors Armstrong, Kester, and Wilson voted opposed. Other councillors in favor. 6 months extension, report on August 14th, I think it was. Okay, thank you. Request for decision. Oh, okay. Somebody wants a break. Okay. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. And we have a 10 o'clock appointment for Mr. Russell Smith. Do you care to address council in any way, Russell? Use the, and turn on the red light, please.
I don't need that.
Recorded.
Pardon?
It's recorded, so that's.
Oh, it is recorded. So every meeting is recorded. Good. That's very nice to know. So let's see. First and foremost, we will go back to November 7th. I think I recall quite clearly that the reeve of this county told me that they were going to look into the tree overhanging my property. That was November 7th. It is now May 15th. I still have not had a reply. Why? I'm waiting.
Yeah, I thought staff had talked to you about that tree. And Amber, did you talk to him about that tree? Yeah? Okay, next.
What did you say? Anything?
We can't hear you.
Oh,
Remember,
when you come to the meeting and ask to look at that tree, then staff looked into it and staff said they have talked to you about that tree.
why don't you just send me a letter? Oh, is that too hard to do?
Didn't think. If you want a letter, ask for a letter then, Russ, okay? You just ask.
Explaining what you have done and what you haven't done. It is a hazard. Okay? And by that I mean it's a death sentence to me, my family, and my animals. Pets, if you will. So, if that tree falls, I guess I'll just have to come back and haunt you.
Ellen, do you have any particulars on that tree? What was
Tree is on
determined?
private land. We do not go on private land and remove trees. We remove the
Speak
trees.
up.
We remove the trees on the public land in the road right away. There was some trees there and they were trimmed up, but we will not go on private land.
No.
That's not our role.
Okay, did you hear that, Russell? We don't remove trees on private land. That tree is on private land.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we can't remove it. We don't go on private
We
land.
can't do anything with the tree because it's on private land.
Okay?
I want to see what they have done. Not what they are saying. I want to see actually what process you went through, legal process.
I don't believe there's a legal process. They have,
Okay. You are going to send me a letter anyway. Now,
okay, you
I
requested a
will
letter.
go
We'll
to the
send you a letter.
RCMP and I will have it declared a hazard.
Okay, we'll send you a letter.
Oh, I can do that.
No, he said they'd
Yeah.
send you a letter.
We're going to send you a
They'll
letter.
Send you a letter.
That's,
They will send you a letter.
They're going to send a letter.
Yes.
Good. It's about time anyway.
Question, I'm, in a hamlet, can we, when there's a citizen that has a tree that is causing a problem, is there any way that council can approach that landowner of that tree to mitigate the danger?
Staff have talked to the landowner. The landowner is responsible for their own trees. They have insurance for it. They don't feel it's a hazard. So we have never gone into private property and removed any trees. Yeah. There was some trees on the public lands that were cut down because there was concerns that Mr. Smith and some of the other residents had brought forward. So those were removed and trimmed last fall.
I guess basically my question is, if the landowner of that tree is aware of the tree is encroaching, so thank you very much.
okay. Any other questions? Anything else, Russell? Mr. Smith? Anything else, Mr. Smith?
He asked if there's anything else.
Oh, oh yeah. Now, seeing as the general manager, Mike, is not here, and he did not do what I asked to be done, that was to set up a pictures that show what they have done on my sewer and water, and he's not here, so I cannot point out to him what actually happened. And this council, I do not believe, has seen any of the pictures, have they?
I've not seen any. I have not seen any.
That's what I thought. Okay, why? This is council business. This is council business, not anybody else's.
It's our operations people to go out. We don't see pictures of everything that our staff does, for sure, no. There's not enough hours in the day.
Hasn't seen him because.
So what's the problem with your water? What's the problem with the pictures? Let's put it this way. If you had made appointment, if you would have made appointment with staff and had them here, they could have been
The problem with
prepared.
it started on December 22nd. Okay, they finally dug it up on January 21st. Okay? Oh, and proven beyond a shadow of a doubt by picture that the problem was the counties, not mine. At my expense, and then they reimbursed me for my expense of doing all the work for them. Okay?
Yep.
So, now we have a problem. And I will discuss this with Mike, the general manager, and seeing as there's no council meeting until sometime, I don't know when is the next council meeting?
Someone got that
Oh,
quick?
even the council don't know. June 5th. Well, then I request a special meeting on Thursday, this Thursday, which is the 17th, with all councilors present and the CAO and the general manager.
I'm not here on Thursday.
Any objection?
I'm not here. I have to be in Calgary Thursday. Can't make it. The next council meeting, come to it. We're not in the habit of having special council meetings.
I never asked you that.
You just asked for the 17th.
Are you telling me no?
I would say no.
I would say no.
Anyone say yes? Nobody said yes.
Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. Well, then, I guess this meeting, I will have to, let's see, how do I put this?
What's your ask, Mr. Smith?
Put
What do
my
you want?
rights,
What do you want?
my rights, which I am entitled to under law, is called a filibuster. You know what that is?
We're not in Ottawa.
That means I have this floor until I either drop or quit speaking. It is not negotiable. Or you have the other option of meeting on Thursday.
I have the right
to
limit the discussion at my call. So if you don't provide any new information or relevant information, that'll be, you're here at the chair's request. This is a council meeting. You are not a member of council. You're a member of the public who has been granted an appointment this morning to talk about your concerns. Okay? This isn't about anything else but that.
He does have new information about all this sewer problem and everything.
Okay.
I actually went over there yesterday and took pictures of the damage that has been done as a result of that sewer issue that was happening there.
So I'm thinking it was your sewer backed up on because
The
of that.
walls in the house in the basement are falling in
Right.
because they got so wet, and it's still wet down there. Even after all that work was done by the county and everything, the water is still there. The dampness, you can feel it in the soil that's fallen in.
So you did not have insurance to clean this up, or did you have insurance on your house to clean this up?
Russell, do you have insurance? Is there insurance?
What?
He's asking if you have insurance on the house.
Absolutely not.
Well, you should have had insurance. I don't think we've ever paid for any sewer backups in the county ever that I can remember.
So what's it going to be?
Usually the homeowner provides insurance.
Do I get the meeting on Thursday or not?
No.
No.
No? Okay, then a filibuster is now declared.
No,
Okay.
you're not a member of council, I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
You're not a member of council.
I'm not a member of council. I
It is not
am a
your right
private
or
citizen,
privilege to filibuster.
And I have the right,
No, you don't.
as long as I am standing
I'll get
and
up to.
speaking, I have the right.
Okay. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break.
You have no right.
We'll take a 5-minute break.
Administration put together a package of all the information dealing with the sewer main, or the sewer issue and the issue around the tree, whether it, well, whatever the service that we dealt with and that our insurance company dealt with, and the issue with the tree, put it all in writing and have it sent to Mr. Smith. And then he can do what he wants with it.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thanks for coming in.
They're carrying on with their meeting.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
That's good. You carry on. But I'll tell you, right here, right now, that you cannot break a filibuster
Yes.
under law.
Are you going to leave?
Well-
You can sit down on the chair and watch. MSI capital funding, 3.2D.
Good morning,
Ryan.
Good morning, council. So on page 121 of your agenda package, there's some additional MSI capital funding that was received for fiscal 2018. What this RFD mentions is that this funding is an advance from a future year. It's not new additional funding. So this funding that the county now has the ability to spend currently in fiscal 2018 is an additional amount, but please be reminded that it is from a future year. In 2020-21, the provincial government is also mandated to sign an agreement with all the municipalities to change the MSI funding model to more of a resource sharing revenue model. So the purpose of this RFD is to inform council that there's an additional approximately $2.5 million to spend on capital projects that are eligible for MSI funding.
Okay. Any questions, Tom?
Just, so, we get an increase now, so we've got 2.5. 2021, you said, there's a resource, so does that mean you get less than, right? So.
It depends on the provincial model. I don't know what that model will look like. The only narrative that I read is that it will be based on resource revenue sharing. So my guess would be oil and gas and any other resources that the province will receive royalties or something from.
And at the present time, what is MSI funding allocated from?
Through the chair specific projects or
Just where does MSI?
that I honestly can't answer. It would be revenue that the province would generate through provincial taxation, other royalties, right, where the $600 or $800 million they came up with extra, I'm not quite sure.
Through the chair, I don't think they know where it's coming from yet. So what you're telling us here is this money is borrowed from, so we're not getting any MSI funding in 19 or 20. We're getting it all this year. It's not coming in 19 or 20. We're not getting anything.
Mr. Chairman, we don't know that, but we know that MSI is done in 2020, correct, Brian?
Yes, that's correct.
So there'll be a new program unveiled probably in 2019. There happens to be an election that year too, by the way.
But according to what it's saying here, that they're borrowing from the future, so we're not getting anything next year or the year after. We're getting it all this year.
Through the chair, so their calculation for MSI funding, I believe, is based on population and the number of kilometer of roads, and something to do with the education requisition.
Yeah. I know.
So if I were to forecast, I would forecast that there would be significantly less MSI capital funding in a future year.
I'll move that we accept this as information.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Brian. You're here for more. Request for decision, request to waive taxes on roll 3598100. Scott?
Just for clarification, both of these are the campgrounds, correct? So they're private companies that are running them. They're collecting income for doing it. They keep all of that income, or do they give us anything back? Is it a lease? Is it a $1 lease? I don't know how it works.
I can tell you the Rosebud one. I can't tell you the other one for sure. Rosebud, province used to own the campground a long time ago. Give it to the county. They couldn't sell it for anything unless they give the money back to the province. It has to stay a campground. The county allowed the Rosebud Lions Club to look after it, which they did for a number of years, and they used to make some money, and it went to the Rosebud, the hamlet. Then the new operator come, and he made a deal with basically the Rosebud Lions Club, and he rents it from the Rosebud Lions Club, there again, providing money for the hamlet. And yeah, so any tax money they get back, they have to build infrastructure on the campground. It's something they can't take with it. So the county would be gaining infrastructure that we didn't pay for. Is up to the value we grant back is the value of the taxes. And I think it's quite similar for Eagle Lake too. How it come about in the first place, I don't know. Ben?
They have to give receivable or receipts for money spent on the campground in that year to get their tax exemption, but they still pay the school side. They don't pay the municipal side. It's the only thing we can grant back, and that's been in existence down here and she's been good. She's been every year. I think she spent over $5,000 to $7,000 a year on the campground, improving the infrastructure, and so it's worked good. So we just followed the same model for Rosebud.
Yeah,
it's been working good.
In my understanding, it is part of the contract that was signed with them, like when those leases were initiated. And she has provided the information they both have provided the information about the maintenance and infrastructure improvements that they've done.
Yeah.
I don't deny that having an operator in a campground works really well, and they do look after it. But I have been in charge of one of these in the past and subbed it out, and it can be quite lucrative. So it's a business, right? There's people that actively pursue these contracts because they can do quite well at them. Yes, you have to live on site. Yes, I understand that whole commitment, but there's a group of people that do this for a living. So just saying, it is a business.
Any other comments? Or I guess just to mention, the Rosebud Campground was almost totally underwater here a couple of weeks ago. There was a couple handfuls of dirt, didn't get wet, but totally under. And I don't know how many tons of silt they've removed. Whole hamlet, well, quite a few from the hamlet come out, work bees, and help clean it up for them. But yeah, that was the highest water I've ever seen down there, man. And that riprap we put on a couple of years ago, good thing. It's there, it's all nice and clean, but the bank is still there. Yeah, it could have washed away significantly there.
So,
I'm just, what is our liabilities on, not so much, I think this first one's Rosebud, but the second one that we're going to do, they're talking about infrastructure that was done in, like, what is our liabilities for the county to upgrade this stuff? Because I really don't want to be giving back money and then finding out that we're going to have to put $50,000 or $80,000 into upgrading electrical and all this kind of stuff. I just sort of don't know where we stand at. Where does the owner or the leasee stop, and where do our rights begin? Like, because like Scott says, these things can be quite lucrative.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an answer for that, Ellen?
That's something that we'd have to go through and analyze. There's an agreement signed for a 20-year lease on those properties.
Yeah.
So we can certainly bring that information back if you like. It's not a problem. Sounds like you want more information. We can do that. We're just honoring what the agreement was that was signed.
And I think through the chair, I think I know this one down here, they've done what you're talking about. They've done quite a bit of electrical upgrading down there as far as the sites are concerned and their main power, and they can't do that without the proper coding and everything else. So their liability would fall back on them. I can't see it being an issue. And as Alan said, it's a 20-year agreement, and it does, when you're talking about economic development, it does bring tourism into the municipality. And I know she does a nice job of this one down here, and what's his name, Sumner down in Rosebud, he's doing a fairly decent job down there. We wondered when he first come in if he wasn't some kind of a carpetbagger, but he's turned out to be a pretty good fellow down there. So I don't have a problem. I'll move that we waive the 27 municipal tax roll for 35,980 to 100 totaling 32,4121.
Okay. Ben has moved. Is there any questions? All in favor? Oh, carried.
I'll move that council approve waiving the 2018 municipal non-residential, municipal residential improved property taxes, as well as the senior lodge and waste management requisition amounts for roll number 6233000, totaling $7,860.76. Further, that council approve waiving of the rental fees in the amount of $5,000 for 2018 per section 4.03 of the lease agreement.
Okay, I was just going to put that on the agenda. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. And I'm guessing, or I'm thinking Tom wanted some additional information. You'll just bring that by, or do you want a motion for that?
We can certainly do it either way, Mr. Chairman, whatever's, so on both campgrounds, you guys want information on the agreement and that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly bring that back, yeah. Not a problem.
Bring it
If
to,
you're going to bring that in with the agreement, bring the upgrades they've done in the last year with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, usually that's what we do, but yeah, we can certainly do that.
Okay.
I'll ask Brian if he can put that down.
So just to clarify, I believe Councillor Eichert had a question about what is the county's liability due to like electrical upgrades. Is that right?
I just want to know what the liability for infrastructure, what we're sort of like to see the lease agreement just to see what goes on.
okay. Request for decision, tax agreements for property taxes. G. Computer's kind of got a mind of its own today. Okay. Any council's wishes? Scott?
I'll make a motion that council direct staff to proceed with the tax agreements with the owners of properties for which tax notification was placed on their property in 2018.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Request for decision, County Regional Infrastructure Services, CRISP grant.
I'll move we accept it as information.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Request for decision, Central Bow Valley School, Gleason.
Want me to read that RFD, Glenn?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to read that RFD?
That thing you emailed this morning?
No, just.
This one here?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Today is a pivotal moment in the history of Gleason, and decisions we make today will shape the future of the community. Gleason has been identified as a growth node in Wheatland County and is well poised to handle potential development. The hamlet has robust infrastructure capacity, including the new regional water line, maintained wastewater system, power, natural gas, and supernet access. Gleason has ample affordable housing, including seniors housing, that makes it realistic for families to afford to own their own home. Attainable housing is becoming increasingly challenging in larger centres. Gleason has several amenities, including a supermarket, a newly renovated community centre, an arena that serves as a recreational anchor to the community, exceptional medical care at the local clinic, a thriving library, several parks, and an active RCMP station. Other considerations include the fact that it's outside the Calgary Growth Management Board borders and proximal to a potential broadband project that could provide high-speed connectivity. Being situated at the intersection of two major highways and along a main rail line makes it not only a reasonable commute to adjacent towns and cities, but also a significant transportation corridor. Gleason is nestled in a vibrant agricultural region. In both the hamlet and surrounding rural area that make up this community, there's a strong community spirit and a formidable work ethic. Individuals are stepping up to do their part to help Gleason flourish. In a time when life's demands and busyness are threatening, people are joining together and pressing on, persevering in their dedication to keep the community viable. Gleason has a proud history and a rich cultural heritage, which naturally lends itself to potential tourism growth. Gleason has a fascinating past and a promising future. After seeing the engagement and community commitment at our recent meeting in Gleason on May 2nd, Wheatland County Council spent a morning digging deep into our vision for Gleason. We discussed how that vision may hinge on acquiring the underutilized school property in Gleason. We looked at the potential costs involved, as well as the potential risks if it went to tender. We need to be clear that if Council approves this, it's not a commitment to do anything specific with the school at this time, but allows us time to look at options. It allows us time to do a community redevelopment plan for Gleason. We do understand Gleason has challenges. We will need to work together to overcome them. We need to understand past challenges and see Gleason for what it could be. We need to strategically plan for the future. Administration has estimated that the annual cost to assume ownership and keep the school mothballed as it is until such time as the facility could be repurposed for community needs is estimated to be approximately $50,000, which would include work to secure the building, provide minimal heat and power, facility checks by staff members, insurance, grounds maintenance, etc. This does not include any additional work or repairs in the event that the facility becomes damaged.
Council's wishes.
I just have a question for staff. Securing the site, what would you be, like, that's for fencing?
We can certainly put some fencing in there. We do have fencing that we could do that if that was council's direction. We weren't intending necessarily to do that.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Securing would be.
Yeah, I think more securing the windows and things like that so people can't gain access. I know there's been some challenges with that, so.
And just to reiterate what Amber said, this is not about trying to save the school right now for the public use. We talked about that. We want to try to mitigate the marginal facilities there. We want to make sure the facilities that are there are used well right now. We don't need another one there that's going to compete only against the ones that are there. So I just want to make sure that's heard.
I would move that we accept this report as information and request ownership of the property and building known as Central Bow Valley School from the Golden Hills School Division.
Any questions? Scott?
Just a question for staff. I know there was some, in regards to condition of sale, if we did take possession of this, is there any conditions attached from Golden Hills as per what we could do with it after?
I don't believe so, but council could say we take it as is, where is, no conditions, if that's what you would like to put in the letter.
Like to see if, I'm all in favor of mothballing this, but I would like to see if we can, phase of mothballing it, that we keep everything to a maximum minimum. If that means, if we just keep the furnace rooms open down in the basements, that's the only place that has heat, and the rest of it, if we drain the system down so that it can do that, that's what because I don't really want to see, I want to see this thing boarded up, but I don't want to see $5,000 a month utility payments on this thing. So I just want it, I'd love to see it just sat there, because it's going to take a year or two to figure out what we're going to do here, so.
And I don't know when we would be able to, but as soon as possible after we take possession, if we do, can we get a demolition estimate?
Also, if council would consider, if we do take possession of this, possibly listing it and seeing what interest is in the private industry and do it immediately, because that gives us the control. There could be, we've heard lots of bad things. There could be a good thing that somebody wants to do with it, and that instead of spending money mothballing it, maybe we can produce a good out of this.
I would like to advocate that we give there is a group in the community that would like to investigate some options with it. So if council would consider it, I would like to just give them some time. I think we could put a time limit on that, but I would like to give them some time just to see what kind of opportunities they could pursue within the community and give them that. And then I would be in favor of looking at us tendering it with that control over like who it could be sold to. But I would like to see the community have some time. They have, as you saw in that one proposal, they have a lot of ideas of what could be put into that community. And there are some individuals that are willing to work together to just look into those possibilities. They have some ideas about generating revenue and making it a self-sustaining facility. They're not, I just spoke with one of the representatives yesterday, and he reiterated that they are not looking for the county to be running that facility or funding the operations of that facility, but they would like some time just to put together a good proposal with some revenue generating ideas and just to contact some of the different groups that they think might be able to utilize it. And I think there could be some real benefits to Wheatland County in some of their ideas.
Okay, well, so right now we have a motion on the floor to ask Golden Hills for the building. I think if we get it, then we can discuss what we're going to do with it. Alan, do you have a?
Yeah, just exactly. I was going to mention that as well. The letter can be sent, and then once they've made a decision, they will provide some documentation back. We'll provide that to council as normal practice, and then you guys can move forward to the next step.
Yeah.
I think there's still opportunity to make a change if that's council's wish later on. But
right.
At this point, if that's what council's wish is, this motion, then we'll send a letter in and see where it goes.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor? Who's voting here? All in favor? Opposed? Is carried. And request for decision, Gleason Arena upgrades. Page 155. Any questions? Tom?
Yeah, I've got this whole thing in Gleason here could become, because if we sit down and bringing back the school into this, if we spend this money on the curling rink and the arena, and the one community group decides that they want to use the curling rink as a recreational type facility, and then all of a sudden the school comes into play, we are talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm struggling with how we do this. Like, I would like to go with what does it take? Like, we need consensus from the people on Gleason. We're not getting it on what we're going to do with, like, if we put this money into it, I think we have to say that's it. There's not going to be anything else for schools or whatever the case may be, because I think we have to force it. If we decide as council that the curling rink and the skating rink are going to be the sports facilities in the area, I think that's got to be it. I think we have to steer them in that direction, and that's the only thing that can be. They can't be thinking about opening up a gymnasium somewhere else and all that kind of stuff, because we don't have. So I'm just sort of really torn here.
I see what you're saying, Tom. I don't think, like, from what I've heard, I honestly haven't heard any requests from the community for us to be putting, like, if you're talking about funding into the school for recreation, I haven't heard that request. And I do think that we have some consensus in Gleason. I think they're wanting to look out for, like, just taking care of some of those risks if that building went to tender. So I think that's what we're doing by assuming the ownership of the school. And then with the arena, I think we're covering off our liability with some of the changes to the MGA and due to the fact that we own the facility. And I do think that when we look county-wide, we have somewhat limited liabilities because we don't own a lot of properties like this. I know there is another situation that we need to look at as well, but we don't have any other, like, we've dealt with the schools that are on our property that we have first right of refusal for, and we're dealing with, like, these facility audits that we need to. So I don't think there's any, I don't think the perception of people in Gleason is that we're going to be opening up that gymnasium in the school. I think I've tried to be clear with a representative from the community that's interested in looking at options for it, that council is not making any commitment like that. Our commitment is, what I would hope is that we would give them some time to look into options. If they're not feasible or viable, then we absolutely will need to look at demolition, the possibility of, or like Scott said, the putting it for tender and seeing what kind of interest there is.
So through the chair, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, with the motion that we just made, that school could be put out to tender tomorrow. And whatever happens, happens. All we've done is forestalled that process happening to give the community, whatever group it is, a chance to see if they can do something. And I'm sure we're not going to let them go for 2 years. It's going to have to be done. They're going to have to come up with something very plausible within the next 6 months, I would say. If they don't, then if we're the owners of it, then we have the option of putting it on sale. We control who buys it. If we don't do that, we don't have any control over it, which is a fear in the community. The fact that there's no municipal funding going into this, if it all comes around and they do decide to do something, there still can be, because they still will have the right to apply for the same grants that the curling club and the Ag Society are. So as far as the MSI funding goes, they will still have the right to apply for that under their, and the other grant that's there. So there may be some concern there, but I think it's, if the community is going to do it, they're going to have to do it. It's not going to be us, and I've said that all along. And if they're willing to take a shot at it, I'm willing to give them a chance to try it. But I wouldn't give them more than 6 months to make up their mind. And then if we put it on the market, fine, we put it on the market. At least we've given them their shot.
Mm-hmm. But the motion is right now to provide funding for the skating rink, for the arena, yeah. Yeah. Sure can.
I move that Wheatland County Council approve to undertake the recommended upgrades to the Gleason Arena as detailed in the November 2016 architecture facility audit to a maximum of $2 million. Further, that these upgrades be funded from the Facility Infrastructure Reserve in the amount of $500,000 and from the Recreation Reserve in the amount of $500,000. The remainder of the funding to be acquired through the MSI capital grant funding and contributions from the Gleason Ag Society.
Okay, any questions?
I wanted to talk before you did the motion, but that's okay. I had a discussion with the mayor of Strathmore at our regional planning, and he had said that his residents, and because this facility gets used with minor hockey and things like that, he said that his residents are, the feeling he gets from them is they don't want to travel that far to go use facilities like that. People are starting to get pushback to them, and they're getting pushed there that they want to have a different facility. I'd personally rather see money, this amount of money, go into a central facility within Wheatland County, even by the new school. Something central for everybody to use in a newer facility. That way, everybody can use it. And I haven't seen any studies as to how much usage is here, and I'd like to have that information as well.
So the arena right now, the county did, after kind of a kerfuffle in council last year, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, the county did do an extensive review of the use of the county-owned facilities, and Gleason Arena was shown to be like highly utilized. It's utilized from, I believe they opened at the end of October, beginning of November. They were open this year until mid-April. The ice surface is used every day from after school until between 9 and 10, sometimes a little bit later, every day, and then on weekends as well. They do have user groups that come from Strathmore, but they also have, Indus has user groups. As well, there is Gleason Minor Hockey. They have a figure skating program and a very popular pond hockey program that operates out of there. And when I've spoken with the organizers and some of the board members, they've reiterated that there is like wide use. There's kids in those local programs like the Gleason programs that come from every division in the county. So it is highly utilized. And I get what Pat is saying, and that's been being talked about for years, that Strathmore could use a second arena. But I think when you look at the timeline of that and the costs of that, you're not going to be able to do something like that for what we're talking here. Gleason Ag Society already has a fairly significant sum saved up to put into this project. I'm not sure what the total is.
Around $5,000.
Close to $500,000. So then, like, we put a $2 million cap on this, but realistically, if you looked at that facility audit, I believe the total was just under $1.5 million. So hopefully we're looking at more like $1 million investment in this from the funding sources that we've identified here. And obviously that's not going to pay for a new arena.
Well, through the chair, if you're looking at the bigger picture, and I understand where Scott's coming from, because that's been the issue for years. And when they talk about a regional sports complex, they're not talking about one in Standard or Gleason or anywhere else, but in Strathmore, and they expect everybody else to come to them, but they won't go anywhere else. That's been an issue for years, and these other arenas, sports centers, whatever the hell they are in whatever community they are, they're there and they're open for use, and they are booked. They're booked in Hazard, they're booked in Standard, they're booked in Rocky Ford and Gleason. They're booked full. And for Strathmore to take the attitude that we don't want to travel, we just want everything in our own backyard, is kind of a dog in the manger attitude, and we have to get away from that. They have to get away from that. There are other structures around that are useful and usable, so start using it. Start looking regional. Regional doesn't mean Strathmore. Regional is not what's going on in Strathmore. It's what's going on in the whole county.
And from a Wheatland County perspective, having individuals from around the county and from around the region come into our hamlets and utilize our infrastructure there, it does bring people in, and it does bring dollars in, you know, for concessions, for perhaps grabbing something at the grocery store if you need milk before you go home after practice, those types of things. So from our perspective as Wheatland County, I think it is, like, I would support that idea in addition to this. You can hear the growing, like, hockey needs more ice surfaces, ringette needs more ice surfaces. We hear that, but I do support this project.
No, sorry, Donna.
Did you want to go? In response to Ben, yes, of course they would want it there, and that's why I suggested an essential area of the county. I was thinking more of our users. And also, in with this, have we ever done to see how much it costs to build a new building versus fix this one?
That's the answer to that one.
Yeah, Carson's looked into a new one, and 8 million's a cheap one. This is a time-sensitive thing, though, too. If we don't start working on it, they're not going to be able to have ice and be able to go for this season coming up.
I also just want to reiterate that from an operations perspective, they are independent. So they are generating revenue that funds the operations of the arena.
I'll just add a comment. There, after the meeting, the morning after, we talked about the plan for Gleason, and this is going to be the backbone of the plan. If we don't have the arena there, that there's no point for anybody to move to Gleason, in my opinion. That's, I mean, if you guys want to put this money towards Gleason, this is where we got to start. I mean, it is busy. It's busy during the week, during after school, and fully booked during the weekend. So I mean, it does get used. And I don't disagree with you, Scott. I believe that there should be a regional sports complex, because I personally don't believe that you should have to bus kids to a complex. But I also fully agree that I live 5 minutes from a rink. I should be able to go to a rink. There's a lifestyle aspect here where you can't put a price on lifestyle. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. And you know what? Strathmore, they can put in a regional. We can add contributions to that, because they're going to, with that, they're going to grow, and they're always going to need ice time. We've got people from Blackie using Gleason. I mean, that's an hour away. Like, there's always going to be a need for ice time, no matter where, in my opinion, and it's only going to get worse. So I do agree with spending money for once. So.
Any other comments?
I do.
Pretty sure Amber made the motion. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay.
The school, on the other hand, that's not my thing.
I saw that.
Okay, I'm thinking we're just going to go down to correspondence items. I've got a letter from the government, Seniors Week, coming up shortly, I believe. They want to know by May 26th.
Their phone Sid.
In honor of the past, present, and future contributions of the seniors of this community and throughout Alberta, I would like to declare June 3rd to 9th, 2018 to be Seniors Week.
Thank you. Any questions? Is there an age on that? Or any age restrictions?
Just seniors.
Okay, all in favor? Carried.
I'm not a senior, so I don't really care.
And for planning? Yeah. Looking for bats.
Don't miss if you.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a bat tower or not. Different kind. Got a letter from Fortis.
What are you making fun of now?
Nightingale's next.
Then Clooney.
Yeah.
Like Carsland.
We signed a rate thing, didn't we, for energy a little while ago?
That's for the utility cost. This is for the distribution and transmission of utilities, which is regulated by AER.
Okay. Any questions?
I just have one comment with RHPAP, the Rural Physicians Initiatives. I wonder if we could add that to one of our regional meetings just to discuss, like with Strathmore, and see if they feel like they're attracting and retaining enough physicians for our region, or like Brooks and the County of Newell did a really neat initiative because they were having an issue with physician attraction. I'm not, like, from what I've heard, I know we have physicians that are accepting new patients and that kind of thing, but I would like to just hear from the town of Strathmore and see their perception of our status of physicians.
Mm-hmm. And bring it up on the agenda for sure. A letter from Northland Power. Questions? 100th anniversary of the Ropel Farm plaque there.
I could probably sign it.
And Alberta Rural Health. That's the last one. I think it's the last one if I get to the end. Yeah, it is. Any questions, wishes?
I'll move that council accepts the following as information.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. I believe outside of appointments, we're done. So we've got a You can't have a blizzard? What kind of doctor do you go to?
I have to run to the bank in Strathmore. Do you think it'd be a good time?
We got a half hour, 25 minutes. We got an appointment 11:30. Before we forget about it, about on about tonight for the. I'm trying to think of the word. Yeah.
As an alternate to the alternate.
Yeah, alternate to the alternate.
Let me get back into council mode. Yeah. As there's I was going to go to the watershed or the water corp meeting as Rex's alternate because he can't make it, but as there's two other councillors going, I'll stay home because I got lots of work to do, and I'll nominate or I'll ask that the council agree to let one of the other two councillors sit as the alternate.
Okay. Any questions? Tonight at 6:30. Yeah. For Scott.
No, I'm not going.
If council would approve, I'd just put Scott's name to represent.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we got a 11:30 appointment. Thank you for waiting. And yeah, turn the mic on there. You're ready to go.
My name is Dan Toker. I'm Vice President of Stakeholder Relations with Greengate Power. Greengate Power is a partner on the Wheatland Wind project with Potentia Renewables out of Toronto. During the last couple of months, we have been putting together our amended application for the AUC, and as part of that, we did mailings for this newsletter, which is the fourth newsletter, to all stakeholders in the project area. And during consultation with the County of Wheatland, with Alan, Alan suggested that it would be good to come in and review the newsletter with council by way of providing an update, the project status as we are moving forward. We're going to be submitting hopefully Friday here our amended application to the AUC, which will include a lot of all of this information that's included in this newsletter. So the purpose of the newsletter is to fulfill the Rule 007 of the AUC for public consultation, and to give all stakeholders an update on the project and any changes that we made. We decided during this project revision, because we didn't make any major changes, we've just reduced the number of turbines, which resulted in some road changes because the turbines aren't there. We don't need those roads. So we've deleted some roads and we added some roads to make the project more optimal from a construction standpoint. So that was that's sort of the objective of the newsletter, was just to give stakeholders in the area up to 2,000 meters of the project boundary, an idea of where we are with the project and the changes we made to it, that we will be submitting to the AUC as part of our amended application here, hopefully this week. Okay. So this is the newsletter. I know that we'd sent some to council, to the county, but I'm happy to go through any of these details with you. There's no change to the type of turbine. It's still a 3.4 megawatt 70-on turbine at this point. And the total number of turbine locations is 36. The total output, we're still aiming for 120 megawatt total output of the project, and the total nameplate capacity of the project. And with that, I'm happy to go through these with you. I mean, has everybody had a chance to review the newsletter?
Does anyone have any questions or understand what?
I just had a comment in regards to the height. So they're 300 and some feet high, Dan.
Yeah.
Do
you have the specs there?
Yeah, I think it says right there, hub height's 110 meters. Rotor diameter is 140 meters.
Right. Yes. Yeah. 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 These are our bigger turbines. Those ones out there are 1.5 megawatt turbines. These are 3.4 megawatt turbines.
Not much, just a question just popped into my head. I know when the other ones were coming out on those flatbed trucks, those were pretty long. Is that causing any issue anywhere with road grids, or those are quite a bit longer?
Right.
Especially on the corners and that type of stuff, getting on and off.
Right. As we proceed with construction and planning of construction, we'll sort all that out, and the county, it'll be a function of our development permit, I assume also with the county, is road closures, routes into the project area. Those will all be a function of the development permit.
Because a lot of it will be coming out on provincial highways, I'm assuming.
They will. Yeah, there's specific routes. If we can't get a rail head in the area close by, that's to be determined. But once we determine that, we'll have a preferred route, an approved route by the county into the project area.
Where are they manufactured?
They're in States. They're in States somewhere, yeah. I'm not sure exactly where Sembion's American plant is, but they'll be coming up from there.
And is there, because they're a lot larger, is the base deeper, wider, the concrete that goes in the ground to support the structure?
Right. So during pre-construction, we'll have to conduct geotech on every single site, and depending on what that subsurface composition is, will determine the quality and the depth, the thickness of the foundations. You can see up here, this is the revised layout. We took a couple. Is there another map? I think there's one more. Yeah. This one shows the. Oh, I think there's another one. There's one that's a comparative. I think it's down. Yeah, I think.
Just go back up.
Or is there?
Go right there, just so the council knows what that place hall right in this
Yeah. Yeah, and the purple line around there is the noise contours. So we have to be, you know, it's heavily regulated. So we can't have residences inside of those purple lines. Yeah, sorry, Alan, is there another map down below? It has, it should have the previous layout with X's through the turbines are removed? No? Okay. Oh, there it is, yeah, that is it, yeah. You can see those. Right. So as a result of losing these 5 turbines, we've reduced the project boundary, obviously. Yes, yeah.
How come less?
Pardon?
How come?
Stakeholder feedback, just sensitivity to people's, you know, ideas and proximity that they wish to be to the project. So, I mean, that's just part of, we had a contingency built there anyways to accommodate stakeholder feedback. And if certain folks preferred them to be further back or there's certain turbines removed and not be in the project area, we accommodated that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Dan, can you just explain a little bit, and I know this may not be your forte, but you have the sound, you also have that flicker map?
Shadow
too?
flicker?
Yeah, if you want to explain a little bit about what you guys do to set those parameters so that it doesn't affect people in the area, maybe?
Right.
If you don't mind.
So the permissible level, so shadow flicker is not regulated in Alberta. So what we did, we incorporated it anyways into the design using the German standard, which is the best standard in the world. So we can't have shadow or shadow flicker on any residence for a maximum of 30 hours per year. So sometimes in the wintertime with the sun low in the horizon, a turbine will cut the sun and create a strobe light effect. And so we've used the German standards of 30 hours per year in our constraint studies on the design of this. So we tried to reduce that to a minimum. As far as I know, there are no issues of shadow flicker at all in this project.
I've never heard of anybody, some of them complain a little bit about the noise, but I haven't heard anybody complaining about.
I know when you guys had the open house in Azar a couple of years ago, there was this resident came to me and they said, yeah, you can, sometimes in the wintertime, you can be standing at your kitchen sink, and if it's a certain direction, you can see this thing, you know, you can see a shadow every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was kind of novel for you guys to undertake that. I know it's not regulated, but.
It's not regulated, but we wanted to
certainly a
use
good
best
idea.
practices.
Yeah,
and,
so.
we've done that with all of our projects, and particularly the 2 that we developed up in Halkirk and Blackstring Ridge. Yeah.
Just a question, Dan, in regards to the Halkirk project, and then you're doing another one. Are you doing the one down south as well, or?
We're doing one in Sterling.
Sterling?
Wheatland and Paint Earth, which is adjacent to the Halkirk project.
Okay.
South.
So
yeah.
all 3 of them are going ahead?
All 3 of them are being permitted.
Okay.
We still need to compete into the next round of REP.
Okay.
Contract bid process with the government here. So we are, in this REP 2, REP 2 has an Indigenous component to it, so you must have an Indigenous partner on the project in order to qualify to submit a bid for REP 2.
Okay.
So we're currently working with a number of first, sorry?
Do I? I can't just ask.
Yeah, talk to your MLA. It's a federal government, it's a provincial government. It's part of their climate change plan. They've completed successfully REP 1, had 3 successful, very low bids that won. REP 2 is the same. It's a bid process to sell the power. But in order to qualify, you have to have a First Nations partner.
Would climate change affects everybody? Does it not? Not one more than the other? So just odd.
Sounds like a valid point. You might want to talk to your MLA about it. Yeah. And then Rep 3 is also available. So we don't know exactly which of the 3 projects we're bidding in to Rep 2 because whatever project we bid in to Rep 2 does not qualify for Rep 3. So we're trying to be strategic and understanding the economics of all 3 of our projects to determine which will be the best project to put forward in Rep 2. But we're hoping it's Wheatland. But I'll let you know too if that's which one we're bidding in.
So the question I had, Dan, was just in regards to construction. So you're still anticipating construction in 2019?
If we win the bid, yes.
Okay,
yes.
and you'll know about the bid, sorry, when would you know about that?
End of the year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. As soon as we win the bid, we're full steam ahead. Okay. Yeah, full steam ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for the update.
Thanks.
Motion to accept his information. Jason, all in favor? Carried. Have an appointment at 11:55. Excuse me, are you Glenn Ford? Yes, please. We can have your. Okay. When Judy comes, you can. So Lisa's getting her camera out. I'm not sure what's going on. Plaque presentation? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before we do a presentation, I'd like to take 2 seconds out and introduce Lisa Braniak. She's the new admin assistant for Protective Services and Fire. Lisa comes to us from the MD of Foothills, and she has 6.5 years experience working with fire. So we're really happy to have her. She's got a bit of a steep learning curve with Protective Services, but she's an eager learner and has been wonderful so far. Lisa Braniak. We're not a tough group. Glenn, come on up. It's my distinct pleasure. For those of you who were able to attend the Volunteer Firefighter Appreciation Night, I told a story about Glenn and Nutrien giving us some money that they wanted to thank the firefighters for all their hard work that they'd done during the wildfire event. And he was very apologetic. He said, it's just a little bit of money. I don't know how to make it go for all the guys. And it was a big bit of money. And we had a project we'd wanted to do for a while. And we had a challenge coin created for the guys. So on the back of the challenge coin, we put the St. Florian, who is the patron saint of firefighters. And on the front, we had the Wheatland County Fire Crest put on it. So we made a plaque, and we're going to present it to Glenn to thank him for his generous community spirit. Thank you very much. There you go. And I'll give him a challenge coin.
And Glenn and his outfitter, his company down there, they're great supporters in Carsland. I say Glenn and his company have been great supporters down in that Carsland area for quite a few years, so.
They have, and the day of the fire, Glenn and his neighbors fought to save his house. He was right in the middle of everything.
Can I just add one more thing? Glenn was incredibly touched by all the firefighters that were in the area and the hard work that they did and the number of days that that work continued on. And as a member of the community, he really wanted to step up and recognize their hard effort. And I'm just so impressed by his gift. I thought that was wonderful. And the guys love their coins, so it was a great idea.
No, it's great that we can help out because, I mean, we are part of this community and we always need to support the community that we live and work in. So thank you very much for this recognition. Okay.